and joy what is happening right now in DC and in LA. He is unleashing
100%.
the military, right? And then also speaking about the mediocrity, they cannot win without cheating. Texas, the
Yes.
racism in Texas. So sorry for my rant. I yield
No,
the floor to
no, it's a good one. It's a good one, and I like the dots you're connecting because very quickly to ping off what you're saying, that what you just described, Waj, is the whole reason whiteness was invented. You have to remember that whiteness is an invention of slaveholders who needed to figure out a way to justify enslaving an entire race of people and also getting the other group of people they were indenturing, the Irish indentured, mainly Irish indentured, who are effectively slaves too, to not join with the black enslaved people and rebel and kill them. And
Mm,
they're like, the way that we get the white indentured to not side with either the indigenous people of this country or the enslaved people is to create a difference that is more valuable than even money. And it's called whiteness.
yep.
Whiteness was invented in the 16th century by these enslavers to say, hey, white man, you may be a little bit above a slave, but that whiteness, that class of being white, which is doesn't isn't a real human thing. We're all just Homo sapiens, other than the people who have a little Neanderthal, got a little Neanderthal in there, but most of us are just Homo sapiens. But they said, no, 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 no. White is a thing that's real, and it is actually the most powerful invention I would argue ever created.
Wow.
The Klan, as you talked about it, was actually invented to terrorize black men who were trying to vote.
Mm, mm,
And that film, by reinvigorating the Klan, which was again, it was it's all connected. When the Civil War ends and the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, which this Supreme Court is trying to remove, they're trying to basically dead the 14th Amendment, especially with this birthright citizenship. The only reason black people are citizens in the country is it said so in the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. Before that, blacks weren't citizens because again, that whiteness carried with it literal citizenship. All your rights came with that white card. And
yep.
this is one of the reasons, by the way, that so many Latinos are anti black. Because even though by the one drop rule, they're all black, because just by the rules of white people, they have that one drop, right? That's why they the little swarthy. They got a little bit of, little bit of sauce in them. But a lot of them have African ancestry, but they deny it and they try to whiten themselves, right? The blanquimiente, I think they call it. Blanquimiento, I think is the name of it. And because they're trying to aspire to that card, that white card has more power than money in
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
Right. And even there are some immigrants who are themselves black people. I mean, or Candace Owens, black people who want that card, who Clarence Thomas, who cling to that card. Okay. So what you're saying is absolutely true. But the purpose of the Klan was to stop black people from voting because when black people voted, they did get in Congress. Louisiana, which had a majority black population because of slavery, was sending black United States senators to Washington. Mississippi, that had a majority black population because of slavery, had statewide black elected officials. The lieutenant governor was black. And so what happened was when you had open multiracial democracy, black people were able to elect not just black people, but liberal whites, which used to be called Republicans. And so the fear of the economic elite is always that the non-elite will all get together and French Revolution they ass. And the easiest way to keep white people out of the fight against capitalism is to make white people side with the elite based on that card. And so
Yep.
the trick really, they think it's a trick on you and me. The trick is on white people because
Always.
what they're doing is they're saying, I would rather Donald Trump be a billionaire than I be able to pay my rent and eat. Because that card is more valuable to me than my rent. It's more valuable to me than anything. And then the last piece I'll put of it to get back to your mediocrity thing, Donald Trump, in some ways, people try to say God put him in the White House. I don't believe God is that cruel. But in a way, I'm thinking the way you could justify saying that, Donald Trump is the physical embodiment of all of America's sins. He's
Yeah, I agree
sloppy,
completely.
right? He's sloppy. He's unkempt. Everything about him is false. His hair is a pretense of non-baldness. He's old, but his followers try to pretend that he looks like Superman. He's a terrible businessman and a failure who gets to fake success because he's white, so banks keep lending him money even when he's failing. His father scoops money out of his siblings' inheritance to give him when he fails. He's a fuck up, but he's able to be a success because white America keeps saying, no, 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 that guy is what success looks like. He's only a success on that TV show because when he was at his brokest, he gets hired to be on The Apprentice. His boardroom couldn't even be used on The Apprentice. And I found this out of my first, my Trump book because it was so shoddy and unkempt. I went in Trump Tower in the 80s. It was tacky and sad. His marriage is a fraud. Melania clearly won't even touch him. The last time she let him touch her, they had Barron. Clear that he ain't touching her now. He doesn't believe in marriage. He doesn't have morality. He got 3 baby mamas, 5 children. Everything about him is a lie. He's not a Christian, but Christians love him. But he embodies the greed, the shamelessness, the lasciviousness of capitalism. And now also to your main and I think really important point, the mediocrity. He could never be JFK. He's
Nope.
not handsome. He's not suave. He's not brave. He was never a war hero like JFK. He has none. Even RFK can never be JFK. None of these people stand up to JFK's legacy. But he can only get a theater named after him by stealing JFK's. Melania can only get a ballroom, the Kit Kat Club lady he met at the Kit Kat Club. We don't know who introduced him, but Jeffrey Epstein was around. She can only get a ballroom named after her by being married to Donald Trump. Donald Trump, he said himself, he could never get a Kennedy Center honor. Unworthy. But he can get one now. He can steal one because he owns a Kennedy Center. They can't fix the history they did. Their ancestors made this country into a slave hell. But they can clean it up now because they got the Smithsonian. They can get rid of all the slavery stuff. They got PragerU that can lie about the history to the children. They can't originally invent anything more than they ever were able to invent good music. We black folk gave y'all country music, hip hop, R&B, jazz, rock and roll. They couldn't even invent that, but they have to call a white man the king because they couldn't make rock and roll. So they have to stamp the king on a man whose main song was stolen from an overweight black woman. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Think about the lyrics. Why would a man, you ain't nothing but a hound dog, lying all the time? That's a song a woman sings about a man. He stole that song and made it a hit because he couldn't invent rock and roll. Even the Beatles knew that. They were like, we didn't invent this shit. We're singing black people's music. The Stones admitted it. So my whole thing is when you invent a country where you don't tell white people that they need to innovate. Even Elon Musk didn't invent them damn Teslas. 2 other men invented it. He just bought it. And so when you tell them you don't have to be excellent, you just have to be white, you will get mediocrity. You will get mediocrity because they're not asking white people to be great. They're not asking them to be great. They're telling them you can be the opposite of great and be defense secretary. You can be the opposite of great and be Homeland Security Secretary. They're telling white people a lie so that they will believe that they have achieved when all they're doing is thieving greatness from other people. And I actually think that is a shame for white America because if you raised your kids that way, you would get brats, you would get monsters, you would get demons you don't even want at Thanksgiving. But we're raising an America that is mediocre on purpose because we don't want to tell Donald Trump that he is a fucking failure. But he is.
You all just got taken to church by Sunday school teacher Joanne Reed. I when someone drops it like it's hot, you know when to just sit back and let her cook. That was brilliant. I'll simply repeat a famous quote by a white man, by a white president during the 1960s, Lyndon B. Johnson. Quote: "If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you.
Amen.
Same as it ever was." The Twisted, sordid, destructive marriage between white supremacy and capitalism, racism and greed, the twin sins of America manifesting itself in its avatar, Donald Trump. I have referred to him as America's Pharaoh, but he is perhaps just America's sins. Perhaps he is America, folks, and people might not like recognize him. When Joe Biden says, this isn't who we are, and the rest of us, especially people of color are like,
Yes.
I think it is.
That is.
Yeah. They're like, we're not like this. Like, it can't happen. We've
We
been trying to
are.
warn you. And folks, it ultimately, at the end of the day, until we confront it and uproot it, name it, shame it, understand it, until you get wait for it, woke, we will be
Yeah.
suffering this again and again and again. The of course we had Barack Obama after the failure of George W. Bush. And of course, in this country, we would get Donald Trump after the first black president, right? This is America. And of course, this Donald Trump, who has created no culture but just steals, will take over the Kennedy Center and give it to Sylvester Stallone, who, by the way, became famous because Rocky is all about a white man, a mediocre white man who has
Come on.
no chance in hell ever,
Uh-huh.
ever, 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 ever beating
Uh-huh.
Apollo Creed.
Uh-huh.
Sylvester Stallone said, "Well, I wouldn't, I got to make sure that at least in fiction, a white man like me can beat Muhammad Ali." That's what
Come
it was
on.
based upon, folks.
Yes.
Apollo Creed was based upon Muhammad Ali, a smooth-talking, witty, fast-talking black man who beat up white folks, and they had to put that black man in his place. So Sylvester Stallone, all 5'6" of him, goes up against Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers, and now you have a statue, not of like actual boxers like Joe Louis in Philadelphia. You have a statue in Philadelphia of freaking Rocky Balboa, a fictional creation of Hollywood. Another fictional creation of Hollywood, John Wayne. He did not
Yes.
exist. It is a creation. John Wayne was an athlete who got injured and he was surfing and then he just stumbled on and became a Hollywood creation. And people are like, why can't we have men like John Wayne and Gary Cooper?
And that
Oh,
wasn't his name, right? Wasn't his name Marion
no.
something? What was his name? Marion.
Yeah,
Marion.
well, Ronald Reagan, actor. Donald Trump, actor. It's all fiction. It's all
Yeah.
smoke and mirrors. It's all a myth. That's what
Yeah.
white supremacy is, because that's what it needs to sustain itself and its delusions of superiority. And they do it by taking our culture, our contributions, our wealth, our narratives, our
Mhm.
talent, and then stealing it if they can't copy it. And I give you Donald Trump, an actor, a man who's a bankrupt criminal who incited a violent insurrection. He bankrupted casinos. He squandered his daddy's wealth. And somehow he has failed up in life thanks to
Yeah.
whiteness, wealth, and celebrity. It's all there in front of you. I hope we connected the dots. I hope we pissed off all the right people. Joyanne Reed, a pleasure always. You were cooking today, sister. I mean,
You
you were
too.
on.
We
You
were
were always
you
on, but today
too.
was something special.
Right back at you. And I will close with my phrase that I close. I try to close it every day, at least once a day, somewhere on some kind of camera. Release the Epstein files.
Epstein files. Epstein files. And folks, I'm going to let Joy go. I kept her 7 minutes longer than I wanted to, but I will say this. There's two weaknesses of Donald Trump, the two E's, Epstein and the economy. All right. So anyone who tells you Epstein isn't a big deal, just ignore them. Ignore them completely. They're terrible at politics, but not just politics. I want to say this because sometimes this gets lost, Joy. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and their friends, rich, powerful white men raped girls. They
Yeah.
raped girls, hundreds of girls. I didn't say women, I'm saying
Yeah.
girls. And those girls deserve justice. So never forget that these powerful men, thanks to wealth and whiteness, were able to rape girls in front of our face and escape justice. And it's happening in real time. And Donald Trump is all over them files, folks. Release the Epstein files. It's the one kryptonite of Donald Trump. The second kryptonite is the economy.
Yeah.
That's why they're freaking out. And those cankles, white supremacy ultimately might I don't know if those cankles can support it, folks. Joy, thank you so much. Before I let you go, shamelessly promote yourself. How can people support you? How can people find you?
Absolutely. Two ways to do that. You can subscribe to my Substack, which is called Joy's House. It's at joyandread.com, REID. And you can also subscribe, and I hope you will, to The Joy Reid Show. We do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube. So you can subscribe to the YouTube channel for free at thejoyreidshow.com.
That is awesome. And folks, in about 5 minutes, I'm going to have Katie Fang. Uh, Joy and Katie back to back. So come back in about 5 minutes, and we're going to talk about how the world's worst, most mediocre men can openly crime, and the rest of us can't even walk the streets while brown and black. It's all connected.
Yeah.
Joy, you have to become a subscriber. Please subscribe to Joy's show on YouTube. Please subscribe to her on Substack. Folks, this is the Left Hook. I have no paywalls. Everything is free because I'm a terrible capitalist. First, go give your money to Joy. If you have a few bucks left over, then come to me. I have like 800 kids. But if you can't, just share this content. It'll be out on Joy Substack and my Substack in about 30 or 45 minutes. And folks, be kind, be informed, be empathetic, and please, oh, please don't be a fascist. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you, my friend. Bye.